Everybody, I'm Mike Morales. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and platforms and networks. I'm here in Southern California. That young man out there is
Jay Silverman, Tempe, Arizona.
Jay, and I are beside ourselves. First of all, I was so happy to finally get my bottles of this new mezcal. You might have seen it on Instagram. Prolijo, right? No, Prolijo. Oh, God, I always mess it up. What does that mean? What does it mean?
All the details. It means detailed.
It means details? Wow.
Good job.
Okay.
A lot of different processes they share with with everyone, and the videos they share of their production process it's pretty cool. So I'm excited to try this Tobala. Tobalas are always special and take a long time to mature, 12 to 15 years, wild agaves, and if you can find them. And this is distilled in Etla, which is close to the city of Oaxaca. So,
by the way, just so everybody knows, these Tobalas, this one here, and I only got like 200 milliliter, I think is what I'm getting, which is now legal in the United States thanks to the TTB. You will probably be seeing these, and well, the funny thing is, I'm more used to seeing the tougher to find plants in smaller packages like this because, as a matter of fact, Oaxaca Mezcal has a whole line of smaller bottles. Scorpion has their Escorpion line. Anyway, this one is coming in at a high 48 ABV. The last Tobala I had last year came in at 42, which was okay. It was all right. It didn't lose any character, but I'm more used to seeing the higher alcohol by volume. So I am going to pour myself a glass and again, my Stasel Jarrito for mezcal. And I think Jay's going to do the same, I believe.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're starting to see more of the mezcals available in smaller formats, like 200 ml. Derumbes has that as well. Madre is doing that. There's some options out there because mezcal is expensive. It's not a cheap investment. Good, it's a good quality investment.
Well, and I've said this before. I've even said it to Alex. I believe that the higher the tequila or mezcal at the ABV, first of all, as it goes through different alcohol by volumes, even from the same plant, the same maker, and the same process, it's almost like you're getting a different drink. Like it turns into a different beverage, and that's why for us, when we do our brands of promise. We always compare apples to apples. If you're coming in at a 42, you're an Espadin, you're going to compete against a 42 ABV Espadin. But, I really enjoy the higher ABVs simply because I think they're more satisfying. I drink less because I'm more satisfied. You know what I mean? It's the difference between a Swanson dinner and, a homemade meal. Because you go, okay, I'm full, I'm done, and that's my feeling, but that's just me. And I think even European or Mexican bottling at 38, sometimes you get a really distinctive, beautiful tequila, versus an 80 proof from the same maker, So, but again, that's just me. Oh, hello.
I mean, Tobala agave is always so robust, the flavor, and the first one I ever tried, probably the Del Maguey, maybe 10 years ago. That's always been a benchmark of Tobalas, I think. Yep. But now there's so many great mezcals, and it's an investment. So we have to figure out, let's learn as much as we can about this. This kind of reminds me of how I got into tequila. I would always go and research what I was gonna drink. I try to read up on as much as I could before diving in and buying a bottle or going to a bar and ordering a glass of it. You try to do your research, and it's fascinating.
These got some really thick legs and tears, man.
Yeah, this is
that's a I can already tell this is a substantial plant. And look how bright it is. I don't know if you can You can tell that on my lighting. It's starting to get sunset here, but so I'll put a white napkin behind it. But the legs and tears are beautiful. They're clinging to the glass as they should, and they're sheeting down just slight, just they're taking their sweet time, and I really like that. And it's not because there's any, it's not because of the glycerin. There's whatever glycerin there is in here is naturally comes from the distillation. Nothing added. We'll tell you how the process works a little bit when we taste it.
There's
But
also like a tepazate reminiscent of a tepazate aroma in there too. So you get those wild agaves where you get that little bit of funkiness in the aroma where you're in for a treat, because this is all natural stuff. That's this is the magic stuff that people are searching for when you go in and buy a nice bottle of mezcal. That's kind of what you're looking for, is like some really special aromas and flavors that you've never tried before. It's something unique. And
again,
it's going to be a little different.
Even though it's got a higher alcohol by volume, there's no alcohol burn. There's no smoke detected. It really is pretty to look at, because the tears are just naturally thick, which just kind of tells you you're anticipating how it's going to coat your palate in a natural way, so that the flavor, and I think that's part of the satisfaction, is that even when you don't have it in your mouth, you're still tasting it, and it's not in a bad way. You're tasting the characteristics of the plant, the region, the hand of the maker.
I feel like I'm halfway there to Oaxaca, but they say aroma is like 60% of tasting sometimes, right?
Yeah. So well, it depends on who you read, 60 to 80. So
enjoyable, and for me it's 60. I really I know sometimes you just get these amazing aromas and you don't and it changes before you taste it. But in this case, it's really, it kind of we've tried their Espadín Blanco. This is kind of like a double dose of that almost, because it's
a little bit gamier.
It's that robust aging on the plants before they harvest them, and getting those plants up into the 12 or 15 year range before harvesting them. It's really trying to think of another word besides robust.
It's literally an aged spirit before it even hits the bottle.
It's meaty almost, I guess.
Yeah, it's meaty. I think that I like to use the term beefy. It's beefy. All right. So I'm going to dive in.
Not vodka.
No, not beef eater. No, beefy, as in gamey.
Right. Just
let's try this.
The 48%. It's good.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love this. I'm getting like paper wood notes. From the age of the plant tends to be a little bit more fibrous. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not sure. Let me give you the ins and outs on the process of this, so you get an idea. If you haven't seen the Espadín version, it is a bit earthy. I'm getting more earth on this one than I did on the Espadín. I'm actually getting a little bit more of the Tahona, I believe, because this is a milled with a Tahona, fermented in open air pine wood vats. Oh, that's beautiful. Double distilled in copper alembic, and of course it is pit roasted, underground pit oven, fueled with encino wood. I've never been able to really get a technical name for that. What encino is, but it even translates to encino. Okay. And of course, the technical, the Latin name is a patatorum, which is a Tobala. And they're saying they're 12 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Now, as they're mentioning, it's slightly astringent, but it's not for me. It was actually a lot sweeter than I remember Tobala being. but at mid palate, I got a lot of um, the 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 plant fiber, the wood. I mentioned this during a Ricea tasting that it tasted almost as if there had been wood or part of the stems maybe. I know Jay mentioned that he watched one of the videos of the Espadin, and they leave a little bit more green. So maybe the green is a bit more fibrous. I don't even know if they're fermenting with the fibers or without. I'd imagine that they are, because I think that's part of the normas, where if you're considered artisanal, you have to ferment with the fibers, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And it's got that nice, there's the earthiness and the herbal, reminds me of like, it's got a little rosemary and pine in there, like some, some winter citrus. But it's really tasty. I mean, that's definitely a promising mezcal where, it delivers, because these guys know what they're doing. It's excellent stuff.
Yeah, I'm surprised at the higher the ABV. As I said, the previous Tobala, the last Tobala that I had, I believe it was with Alex. I think we tasted a Tobala, came at a much lower ABV, and it was as bright as this one. I'm really impressed with the brightness of this mezcal. It's not, the mouthfeel is it's really interesting. It's almost brighter than the Espadin. I think the Espadin was much more coated the palate a lot more, whereas this one I get more of the pine notes, the wood notes from the plant, and minerality I'm getting, but on the nose it's really bright and citrusy. So wow, man, and no smoke, no alcohol.
Any of that like tapazate maguey at all in there, like where it's kind of maybe grown near them, but it has that almost like a similarity. It's hard to describe, but it's got that like, the pine, the earthiness, but it's great. The banana, the fruit.
The information is telling us that let me give you also see if they're giving me the name of the Maestro Mezcalero is Oscar Ramirez Santiago from Etla, Oaxaca. That's the region, and 48 ABV. But I gotta say, man, this is and I've had a few Tobalas, but this one's really memorable because it's brighter than I remember some of the other Tobalas being. And the last one I had was at a lower ABV, and this one it almost has the same flavor profile, but this one beats it, and it's at a higher ABV. And again, what kind of finish are you getting?
See, I wonder how big the batches are with this production. So there's a batch number on the bottle. It's hard to know what it means.
Is that one on the inside label?
They talk about the batch number P-MT1 8001. I can't decipher that.
Yeah, I don't either. I will say on my second pass through my second intake, there's a lot more the spiciness and the fruitiness that we got with the Espadin. It's again there, and it's much more even prominent when you do the lip numbness when you're looking for that. But it doesn't hurt, man. It's almost, and the finish is like medium to short. Again, I'm getting a medium to short finish, which I've not had at this higher ABV, not lately.
It's a clean finish. There's not they cut the heads and tails nicely. It's really the mouthfeel, like when you're sipping on it, it's just outstanding. It's really, really good. I mean, it's got that nice balance, it's got that fruit, and it's just excellent stuff. I mean, I like it. I'm
yeah. Now, once this is like my third pass. This is small swallow, and Now it's beginning to coat the palate. It's really interesting how it's not coating the palate as much as the Espadin did. This one's taken like 3 times before I'm getting any aftertaste, any retronasal, and now I'm getting more of the.
It's a very clean finish, but the mouth feel and the taste it's exceptionally good. And then it's just kind of it doesn't linger too long, but it's got that great. It's just got that great flavor, and to me, it's kind of like clean, cut nicely and clean product, but lots of flavor in the heart.
Yes, and now I'm even getting the residue of the smoke, which happens, but that's like my third intake, at very small amounts. So I love this. This is one of those Tobalas where it just kind of crescendos. With every sip, it just gets better and better, And I was expecting, just from the legs and tears, I was expecting the mouthfeel being like the Espadin, right? Where it was, beefy and thick. This one is, again, at a higher ABV, it's really brighter than I expected. So I'm really impressed, man. This is great stuff. I want to, well, first of all, let's just go there. Brand of Promise nominee in the Tobala category at
I definitely want to look out for this Tobala. I mean, I feel they're still pretty new, right, Mike? They've been around not too long.
Not too long, and Jay actually got his bottles right at New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
and this is the beginning of March, folks, and I finally got mine. So I want to thank the folks at the Spirits Consultancy and Juan Pena and Katie, I believe. They made this happen. I'm so glad that they did. I love. So it says Prolijo, and that according to Jay, that means details. So the details are what count in this mezcal. But stick with us. That's our take on the Tobala. But we have one more. And I'm looking forward to this one because I haven't had a Madre Cuché in a long time. So they have a Madre Cuché coming up. That's our take on this Prolijo. Prolijo mezcal.
Tobala. I mean, it's outstanding. I mean, it really is exceptional. So I would look out for that if you can, friends.
Yep, absolutely. You've been listening and watching.
Bottle.
You've been listening. I know. Even you know what? It's even worth it at 200 milliliters. Believe me. You'll want to have this size handy because it's just one of those that you just nurse it because you're not going to need to shoot it. It's one of those you spend some time with, and that's our take on the Prolijo Tobala. I'm Mike Morales here in Southern California. That gentleman out there is
Jay Silverman in Tempe, Arizona.
And you have been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media, all of our channels and networks. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. If you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell, subscribe, unless of course you have an aversion to commitment. Give us a thumbs up on the video, and hey, whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely, friends.